What is up, everybody? So as you can see behind me, right over yonder, we got the Rudnick Red Rocket in the house. Yeah. So what we got to do with this thing is, I'm sure you guys saw the video, but Chris was running the intercooler piping in it and kind of ran into a dead stop. And basically it's tough. If you don't have ever run, if you've never run intercooler piping in these cars, or in any car for that matter, it can seem like a very daunting puzzle, and I get it. A lot of times it's very hard to visualize the stuff before it goes in, and we got to fix some things, which is no big deal. We are going to fix all those things and get him set up properly so that we're good. So let me show you some of the issues with this, and I already started tearing into it. I didn't film that part, but I want to show you guys how we're going to make this thing right, and maybe a little bit, not necessarily to rip on Chris, but maybe show you guys a few of the mistakes that someone who's new to turbocharging a car runs into. So here we go. So let's start out first with the intercooler mounting. Now, looks all good, right? You got an intercooler mounted there on that push bar, but the problem that we're going to run into, number one, with this is that the bumper cover usually sits right up against that, and you can see it sticks out quite a bit. So what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with interference with the bumper right here, and not so much in the middle, but probably right at the corners. The bumper's going to interfere. It's going to interfere over here. So what we need to do with the intercooler is we're actually going to take it and move it down. We're going to pull it down in this area here, because the other issue that we have is with it up here like this, it's going to be completely behind the bumper. It is not going to get any airflow from the front. Now, even if it did get airflow in the front right here, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but let me see if I can get you up through here. Yeah, that's better. So now you can see that this is the back of the actual bumper support here. And there's the bottom of the intercooler. Up there is the top of the intercooler. So nearly half of the intercooler core is covered by that bumper cover, because this is a very narrow intercooler. So we need to move this intercooler down. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it down, like I said, right in this general area here, probably just a hair taller than the actual crash bar, or the rad support, whatever you want to call it. We're going to put it right there so that it will get front airflow from the bumper, and the airflow will be able to pass through and into the engine compartment like it's supposed to. Now, the other thing that we had going on here was the piping came off of the intercooler, went 90 degrees underneath here, and then up to the throttle body. Now, as long as you keep the intercooler piping in this general location here, it only hangs down to about there. But you don't really want anything lower than this. Same thing on this side. The intercooler piping hit this 90, came down underneath here, and then back up again. Now that put the intercooler piping here, which 2.5 inches of it is now hanging below. So we need to figure that out. So I think what we're going to do, as you can see, I already started. There's a nice little hole there. We're going to come out of this tube down here. We're going to come down. We'll go right around here and boom, into the intercooler, which will be that much lower and that much more sucked into the car. And then over here, what we're going to do is we're going to, again, come out this way, go around under the washer bottle, through this plastic shield, and we'll come out somewhere right up in that nice little gap right in there. And then we'll bring it over, and the turbo is going to be sitting right about here. We'll run right up to the turbo. So that basically means that all of the intercooler piping is going to be above the lowest point of the car, which is what you want. And it's also going to tuck it out of the way, because Chris also wants to run a bumper exit exhaust, which the bumper exit exhaust comes out of right here. With the intercooler piping where it was, you can see my hand back here, the intercooler pipe ran right up here. That is exactly where the bumper exit is going to be. So we needed to move that. So basically what we're doing is, we're not ripping on Chris, because he did a great job for what he had laying around the shop. What I'm going to do is set it up right for him, make it look good, weld all the piping together, cut down on as many couplers as we possibly can, and go from there. So we got a little bit of work ahead of us, but I think we can make it work with a lot of the scrap that I have laying around here, a lot of the scrap, not scrap, but a lot of the parts that Chris brought down, I think we can do this, and I think we can do it on a budget because we don't have to order any materials, and it'll be good to go. So tomorrow morning, first thing, we're going to hop on it. We're going to remount the intercooler. Once we've got the intercooler mounted where we want it, then we can run all of the piping. We can get all of the couplers in. We can get everything welded together. And then once the intercooler piping on the throttle body side is done, we can start working on the turbo side. But before we do that, we actually have to modify, well, not modify, but repair the turbo manifold that Chris is using. He's got a nice manifold that runs an external gate. He's got a nice little turbo for it, and he wants to run that instead of the initial kit that you guys saw him purchase. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix up that manifold. We'll weld that up, make that good, mount the turbo. Once we got the turbo mounted, we can technically do the hot side of the piping. Then we can do the exhaust piping. We can make sure that all of the piping that we're doing on the throttle body side or the cold side actually clears the exhaust. And then we can make the exhaust fit where it needs to fit, and everything will be good. So yeah, sometimes these things take a little bit more time than you're expecting. And it takes a little bit of being able to visualize things in your head. And if you have a hard time doing that, which a lot of people do, it's going to be difficult, and you're going to have trouble trying to visualize how to run piping. And that's something you gain with experience. It's something you gain with practice. It's something you gain as you go on in this industry, or any industry in that matter. You figure things out. And then, you know, you work on 300 or 400 different Civics, and you know where to run intercooler piping. So we're going to do that. First things first, I'm going to go fix that manifold tomorrow morning. So I'll take you guys along with you. Yeah, I'll take you guys along with you. No, I'll take you guys along with me as I fix this manifold. We put everything together. So, yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, so we got some nice new intercooler mounts here, which you guys saw before. There's the section of the bumper support that was actually blocking the intercooler. So now the intercooler is going to fit right in between those two spots right there. It's going to get full airflow, and it'll be totally good to go. So we're going to get the intercooler mounted up and start making the cold side pipe right there. And once we get that all made and put in, we'll bring it back. Okay, meow, all the intercooler piping is done. We got the hot side, which goes under right here. And we need a coupler for the turbo, but you can see it sits right up there. We got the intercooler mounts. This is not the final hardware, mind you. This thing came with everything missing. Basically had one bolt holding the intercooler in. But there's the intercooler. Here's the throttle body side. Runs right around, straight up and into there. Then we got all the piping here. Comes out there, runs up, blow off valve is in. Got a coupler right to the throttle body. So now that my camera battery went from full to blinking, I don't know why these Canons don't give you a warning, but that's pretty much all we can handle right now. We tried mounting the downpipe doesn't fit. We fixed the exhaust manifold as best we can. Got the turbo mounted in there temporarily because, again, we don't have any of the hardware for it. Got all the intercooler piping made, but we're missing clamps for it. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to order, make, and yada, yada, yada. So I got to get a hold of Chris, figure out what he wants to do with it, and then we'll move on from there. But for right now, this project is done. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's tough to do stuff like this and actually portray it in a way that's halfway decent, like filming me welding two pipes together. You've seen that a million times. Filming me fix a manifold that probably shouldn't be fixed in the first place because it's a budget build. So I didn't really film too much of the welding, too much of any of that stuff. Kind of just wanted to give you guys a, hey, here's the sort of before, sort of after. Again, this is a real low budget build, and this is just something that we needed to get some piping knocked out for and send it. So hopefully Chris is happy with it. I'm going to call him and see if he wants me to do anything else, maybe a downpipe, and we'll see what happens with it. But for right now, what we needed to do to it, we did. Like I said, it's missing clamps, missing hardware for the turbo and the manifold. It's missing all sorts of stuff. So we really can't go much further unless we get the okay, And if we get the okay, then we'll go further, and maybe I'll make a video of me actually making a downpipe for it so that you guys can actually see some welding. But a lot of times, guys, I don't like making videos when I'm welding on a bunch of used stuff because it never, ever is pretty. So, you guys, if you want to see me welding on a bunch of used crap, I'll film it, but I wouldn't want to see it because it's just not real life. Well, I mean, it is real life, but you get what I'm saying. I hold myself to a certain standard, and when you're doing used stuff, you can very rarely ever reach any sort of standard of quality, so yeah, we'll leave it at that. But we're going to call Chris. We're going to see what he wants to do with the rest of it, and yeah, maybe there'll be a part 2 to this video, maybe there won't. So enjoy this one, because there might not be another. Check out my Instagram for the pictures that I posted of the finished product, and thanks for watching, guys. We're almost at that 10,000 mark, which is incredible, and it's jumping fast. Like, we got to 9,000 and now it's just creeping up so fast. So if you guys are watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do me a favor, click that subscribe button, click the little bell icon that's over there somewhere so that you guys get notified. I make these videos so that you guys can watch them. If nobody watches them, doesn't matter if I have 200 million subscribers. Won't do much good if nobody's watching the videos. So, thanks everybody for watching. My phone is now dinging, which happens all day long. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great night.